Hello, and welcome back to Beauty and the Basics. I am Marche, and today we're going to get into all the things you don't need to do when starting Tretinoin so you're not like me and have a major setback 3 months in. If you've seen my previous 2 videos, you know that I started Tretinoin a few months back. I was very excited about it. I'll link that somewhere at the top of the screen. I planned on using Tretinoin as a preventative method for wrinkles, to treat some hyperpigmentation, and because I have acne prone skin. Fast forward to my 1 month update, which I will also link somewhere up here. Things were looking good. I was having a little bit of peeling, a little bit of dryness, a little bit of purging, but nothing crazy. I was very satisfied with my results and things were going well, so I thought. So if you've seen that last 1 month update video, you know that at that time, I think I was doing about 2 to 3 times a week at night, applying the Tretinoin with the moisturizer, and things were relatively smooth. So of course, I thought as you use Tretinoin, your tolerance increases and you'll be able to increase the amount of days that you can use it in a row. Of course, that sounds great to me because I'm trying to combat some wrinkles and, I'm turning 30 and all the things, right? All the things. I'm like, let's take it up a notch. So I, of course, started to incorporate Tretinoin for 5 days a week. And let me just tell you now, don't do it. Like, tip number 1, don't increase that quickly. Take your time. From month 1 to month 3, we had a dramatic turn of events. Specifically, about 9 days after I hit the month 3 mark, my skin basically just had a fit, threw a whole temper tantrum on my face, and we had to pretty much start over. The first phase of the temper tantrum was perioral dermatitis flare, or PD. If you don't know, perioral dermatitis is like a rash basically that you break out in around your mouth. It's fairly common, but it's very difficult to diagnose. I actually only got diagnosed about a year or 2 ago, and it took me a year to even get that diagnosis. But it's triggered by anything in your environment or different products, ingredients, fluoride, spicy foods, anything that your body senses as problematic. I had that flare that was triggered by the dryness. I naturally have very oily skin, and my skin started to dry out by increasing my Tretinoin use so quickly. My skin obviously was not acclimated to that kind of environment, and I had the perioral dermatitis flare. So that was phase 1, right? Phase 2 was my neck started to break out and peel. My face was already kind of peeling from dryness, which I had mentioned in a previous video. And then, of course, it just went down to my neck. Often you will see information about the neck being even more sensitive than your face. Oddly enough, my face was the first to go, and then my neck was second, but my neck did start to have some peeling. It wasn't crazy, and I stopped as soon as I really noticed it, but it did get to that point with me upping my dosage. Then we had phase 3. So because my skin was so dry, I basically broke out. Yes, your skin can break out from being dry. You don't have to have a dirty face, clogged pores, oily skin, hormonal acne. Your face can literally break out from being too dry, which is exactly what happened to me. I started breaking out on my cheeks and on the sides of my neck, not necessarily because of the Tretinoin, but more so because my skin was so dry and I was not using enough moisturizing products to combat the excessive dryness that I was experiencing. And then the last phase of this downward spiral was basically I gave myself chemical burns on my neck. Girl, this isn't necessarily the Tretinoin fault. It's more of my fault and me not paying attention. But had I not been using the Tretinoin, it never would have happened. Like I said before, neck had started peeling. Obviously that means you're doing too much. You need to calm down. You need to take it down a notch, which is what I did. I had stopped using the Tretinoin for a couple days, but at that point my skin and my barrier had basically been irritated and broken down. I was using the Tretinoin at night previously, stopped using it at night, but I use azelaic acid in the morning. Azelaic acid is for like hyperpigmentation for the most part. It does help with other things, but I use it for hyperpigmentation. And for my perioral dermatitis. So I had put my azelaic acid on my face as normal, but I did not wash my hands afterwards. So when I went to put on my moisturizer, I'm moisturizing like normal, moisturizing on my face, go down to my neck, that tretinoin damage barrier plus azelaic acid, even though it's not as strong, anywhere as strong, it wasn't even a prescription strength azelaic acid, but it was definitely enough to irritate my skin, and it actually caused my neck to get darker. It was really irritated, it was tingling, itching, horrible, like just out of the blue. Like I put my moisturizer on, went about my day. A couple minutes later, maybe 20-30 minutes later, my skin on my neck just really became really itchy, and I was just like, oh my gosh, so uncomfortable. I went and wiped it off. I was like, maybe, something went wrong. Not realizing what had happened. Wiped it off like with water. Came back later and I had the lines on my neck, the lines that I'm trying to get rid of, right? Yeah, those. They had gotten darker in a certain part of my neck. And I don't even know if you can see it on camera, but like right in here, they're darker than everywhere else. So that was very disheartening. It was a step backward, but luckily, I was able to get back to baseline, and I am back using tretinoin, and everything is going well for now. But let me tell you how we had to go in and really fix all of these problems that came out of the blue, and how not to be me. So the first thing I did to recover from my downward spiral and breakout session was I stopped all tretinoin use for 2 weeks. So I didn't use it at all for anything, not even sparingly. For 2 whole weeks, I went without. I strictly used moisturizer every day for that time period. Like I did not use any actives at night, any strong retinoids, anything like that for an entire 2 weeks. That gave my skin time to calm down, and when I would use my moisturizer, I would also seal it in with a squalene oil, which helped the moisturizer to penetrate even deeper and not evaporate and be dry as quickly. I also incorporated some regular face masks, like moisture sheet masks, once a week. The next thing I did to recover my skin was to switch to a hydrating cleanser. Previous to this, I had been using a foaming cleanser, which for my oily skin was perfect. And even in the first couple months, it didn't really bother me or make a difference. But because I really needed to boost my moisture barrier and recover my skin barrier, I decided to switch to a hydrating cleanser. For the perioral dermatitis, like I previously said, I was using azelaic acid to treat that. Perioral is a very finicky type of dermatitis, and the only thing that I've ever used, and actually that was recommended by my doctor to treat it, is azelaic acid. So luckily I was able to get an over-the-counter azelaic acid that really helped to clear it up, because I did not even start using the azelaic acid to treat it for about 4 or 5 days. And then I started using azelaic acid just on that area. It cleared up in about 4-ish days, and I would use it every night. On the 3rd or 4th day, I used it like morning and night. I had to be careful not to irritate it even more, because azelaic acid can be slightly exfoliating and slightly drying. So I had to be very careful, but that is how we combated that situation. Now that I have returned to tretinoin, we have incorporated it back into the routine. I've been doing well. It's been about a month or so, and I have not experienced any setbacks. I'll say that. I don't know if it's working the same way, because before the problem started, I started seeing results of the tretinoin. And then, of course, I had to stop, so some of those results kind of faded. Now, my new routine is to use tretinoin 3 times a week. I use it every other day, and then I don't use it at all Fridays and Saturdays. So I'm currently using it on Sunday night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night. That is my routine so far, and it has been working. My skin is not too dried out, but it's definitely not oily anymore. I'm not experiencing any irritation, peeling, negative side effects at all. Friday and Saturday nights, I do not use tretinoin at all. That is my time to really go in on the moisture products, and one of those products is a face mask. Weekly sheet mask that are strictly moisture masks. They don't have any active ingredients, no collagen boosting, no retinol, no gold flakes, no, nothing. They're just very basic, moisture intense face mask that I use on Fridays, and that really helps to restore all of the moisture that I possibly have lost in my skin, and I'm really enjoying doing that. I think that had I been doing that before, I may have had a different result in the beginning and when everything, went downhill. But as of right now, it's been very good. I really like it because you have the face mask on. I use the sheet mask, and you leave them on for however many minutes, and then you have a lot of extra ingredients that you then go in and massage into the skin. And then I also put moisturizer on top of that, and then I also put squalene oil on top of that, so it locks it in. Very hydrating. My skin looks very plump and juicy, which is great because throughout the week it's been getting a little dried out, even though it's been working. So that's a wrap on today's Beauty in the Basics video. Tretinoin horror story / update / things you should not do and you should be better than me. I hope you heard something that helps you on your tretinoin journey. If you've had a setback, don't be too scared, don't be too worried. It happens to the best of us. And if you're thinking about trying tretinoin, take this as a precaution. Tretinoin is still a good ingredient, still a good prescription. Just know what you're getting yourself into and what things to avoid. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to follow, like, and subscribe, and also share it with a friend if you think they would benefit from these tips as well.